Hey everybody, my name is Paul Reich, and this is a Mike Lull PJ5-24V. This is a new model. He doesn't have it up on his website yet. Essentially, all he did for this one was he took his M5 body shape, which is his 24 fret neck jazz bass, and we made a pickguard for it to make it look like a vintage jazz bass, except I also have PJ pickups in it. Hence all that nomenclature in the name. But there you go, there it is. Love it. I mean, this isn't something drastically new in the world of bass, but this is the first one like this that he built. He hand cut the pickguard for this, which I think is cool, having the P pickup on black, because sitting back, and you still see the P pickup, but further back you don't see that's a P pickup anymore. And it's also nice, the P pickup, it gives you a lot of room in here if you're a slapper. That you know, a J pickup would probably sit a little bit where this top coil is and come over to here, and you're pretty tight with the end of a 24 fret fingerboard. The nice thing about the P, you still have plenty of room sitting back here. The other nice thing that he did is he designed these pickups with Seymour Duncan, and he really got the J pickup to sit phenomenally well with the P. Usually in this configuration you have to wind the J pickup hot. This is a hum canceling J. You wind them hot so they keep up with the P, so that when you're centered, it is actually the sound of the two pickups blended. Just sound great. I can't say enough. I think he tried, for the most part, to get this P pickup nailed with a 64P as close as he could. And he has, I think it's a 64 he has sitting there in his shop. I know it's 64 Jazz. He might have a 62P. I don't know. He's got some vintage Fenders that are gorgeous in his shop. So he has wonderful inspiration sitting there all day long. And you see why he does what he does. Anyways, I cover a lot of the aspect of what Mike Lull does in his shop with a fretless review I did of an M5V. But the one thing I didn't cover is the plec job that he does on these things. And not all plecs are created equal by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of parameters that you can set. And Mike has really mastered the machine. And he programs in a little bit of fall away for the fret. So if you're actually to run your finger like this, you feel the height, and as you get up here, it's a slightly lower height. And what that essentially does is, if this, I hope this translates, if this is a bow in your neck, and obviously you don't want this much bow, but he flattens this part out so that the strings aren't coming anywhere into contact, and it really lets you be able to get a circular motion out of plucking the string versus just, instead of just this way, it lets you rotate like this. If you want to set your bass up. I mean, some people still like to lay their strings on the fretboard, but but with the plec, it's just really, you can get the string still low and still be able to get a lot of movement out of the string, which is really nice. It just adds a whole different dimension to the sound of the instrument and how you can play it. Anyway, so that's my little spiel on plec, and it was great getting to see him do that. But let's listen to it really quick. Let's look at it one more time and drool at it. Yeah, check that out. Anyways, we'll do P bass. I'll leave the tone control all the way up. Oh, I didn't talk about the controls. We have volume, blend. This is passive tone, but you push pulls for your active passive modes. And then I have stacked bass and treble. We talked about putting a mid control on here, but he felt that with the P pickup that you probably don't need the mid control because it has nice low mids to the P sound anyways. That it might be redundant. That's up to you. That's, everyone's different in their thought process, but I don't miss it. I'll tell you that much. I'm very happy with how this guy's turned out sound wise and the flexibility I can get out of it. Anyways, let's hear a P in passive. Oh, quick spiel. If a bass sounds good in passive, set flat. Obviously, anyone with a passive bass is going to be set flat. It's going to sound good with a preamp engaged. It sucks to have a bass that doesn't have the best sound, and you search around with a preamp trying to get a usable sound. You can only dress it up so much. If the bass already sounds good, awesome. And I think part of the reason why it sounds the way it does, I kind of said I was going to play and then ended up not playing. Sorry about that. It's Swamp Ash body. It's a big body. It's a long bass. Look how much, this 35-inch scale length. And we got all this extra wood back here, and it's a 4+1 headstock with even more length past where the D-tuner is. Big. I mean, it doesn't play big. It just has extra wood on either end. So it's not for little people. No, if you're little, you can play the bass. It's fine. Anyways, P bass, tone up. Let's just do a little funky something in F sharp minor. If you listen, it just has that nice, warm, low punch. Let's hear both pickups together. This is where this bass shines. So. Yeah, I mean, it's just gutsy, raw, and good. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I'm sorry. I used to work doing wine tasting stuff. I couldn't come up with whatever plum, cinnamon, pepper. I was terrible at it. But I knew when something tasted good. I know when something sounds good, and that sounds good. These are elixir strings, by the way. You're like, what strings does he have on there? That matters a ton. These are elixirs. I think that it works well with the bird's eye maple board and ash body. Subdues the upper range a little bit if you're a crazy slap guy. Probably don't want elixir strings, but I think it matched really well with this instrument. Anyways, let's go back to honky jazz land. This pickup sounds awesome too. Both together. P bass. Both together. Solo J. It's good to hear just simple octaves and you hear that usable finger string. And then you have everything in between. So let's blend it, but favoring the P. You know, it does that little bit of J being added and does a lot to like tighten up the bottom, especially when you get down here. So just P on a 5 string. Very usable 5th string, by the way. I mean, it's what do you mean by usable 5th string? I think sometimes 5 strings, when you start going north on the fretboard, they can get wonky and almost polyphonic as you go higher. And in the super high range, it'll do that. I mean, there's not much fundamental, but that's a huge thick string, and you're trying to play it this short. But back here, the B string really does feel like part of the instrument. And that's, I think, what people mean usually when they say it has a good B string. And I think this has a great one. Anyways, that's P bass. And so the point that I was making that tightens up the bottom, let's play that goof around with, now listen to the B string. Going all the way back to the jazz. Yeah, so that's the B string on one of these guys, and you know, there's a whole debate. Do you need 35 inches versus 34? I'm not going to touch it, but this has 35, and it sounds great. Leave it at that. Anyways, let's engage active. Well, let's hear, since it's ash maple and people like to slap, let's dime. Oh, the Bartolini preamp. Thing I like about it versus the Aguilar, and I have the Aguilar on my fretless. Aguilar can get out of hand really quick. Like, it doesn't have as much usable throw as the Bartolini. Bartolini, for lack of a better word, sounds prettier, and I feel like I can get a little more functionality out of it. I don't want to put it in my fretless because I think it adds in some balls, for lack of a better term, to the fretless. But on the fretted, I like the Bartolini. But let's dime it all the way, which isn't the most usable thing in the world. But put it center. Tone is still all the way up. Dimed. I hope I don't feedback because this will be drastically louder. Let me cut the volume a little bit. That's pretty usable. I mean, that's bass and treble all the way up. I usually like to take the tone down a third before doing that stuff. So listen again with this with tone rolled a little bit. Tone, tone back up. Tone back down. Seems a little more usable, a little bit nicer, but some people like to cut glass with their treble, so put that thing back up, and that's fine. Let's not be so extreme with the EQ. I think, what do I want to do? If we go to the jazz pickup, emphasize the jazz, roll the tone down a little bit, and boost some bass in there. Back up. Tone all the way down. That goes to Murky Town. If you put it on all the way on the P bass, got the tone all the way down, got a little bit of bass boosted. Palm muting. That thing goes dark really quick. Tone back up. Blended. Bass and treble boosted. Slightly. Tone a little bit down. It gets nice and trumpety up top too. Yeah, so that's Mike Lull's new bass. Take a look at her again in all her glory. I love it. It's my new A1 axe for gigging. It does everything I need it to. Tons of versatile tones, and they all sound good. That's kind of what's amazing about this thing. So check one out. Thanks.